A lot of people always criticize writers. They'll say all our stories are predictable.
Of course, the industry we have our own issues too, but the audience, they are part of the problem.
Very intelligent people say, I don't want to think when I'm watching Nigerian films. I just want to watch something that will entertain.
Everybody has their season. There's season for the romantic comedies, there's season for the action films.
This project that they are playing with your emotions on is not going to make or break you.
And so we wrote along the line. Then they did the casting.
You couldn't even speak English.
Producers say, oh, if you make it too complex, audiences will not understand.
Yeah.
The producer has some rights. The director has some rights. Are you going to deny them those rights?
Why would the producer do anything
Better
for you? Because you are validating the nonsense you're saying.
This is me joining the audience in it. I feel like some of our films have not lived up to the standard cinematic experience.
So I got into screenwriting. It's really interesting. I got into screenwriting through songwriting. I was actually a songwriter. I think I'm still a good songwriter. So years back, I had this book of songs that I'd written. And so I went to somewhere called Golden Mother. I looked for Sammy Okposo, walked up to him and said, I'm a songwriter. I've written some things here. I said, okay, let me see. He flipped through and said, okay, you know what, this looks interesting. See me on Thursday. I'm going to go through this. So I see him on Thursday. He says, okay, yeah, I went through the book. You have some really nice songs. Hold on a minute. So he goes into the car, brings out the script and says, go through and write a theme song. And about 6 scripts after, I'm like, I can do this.
No wonder they were asking you for
how
lyrics.
did you guys?
That's why we were asking you for the lyrics of the song.
Yeah, you know, maybe they saw it. So how did you guys start? How did you start?
I got into writing. Well, I had 2 starts and stops. So I got into writing through someone who was writing. So I met someone who was writing and I realized, screenwriting was a thing that people could actually do. And funny enough, that person took me to your room. For the first time, I saw a writer's room in action and I saw people throwing ideas and building a story. And I was like, okay, people make money from this thing. And then I said I wanted to be a screenwriter. But at the time, I had to stop. I had to pause because I wasn't making money. I had to pause. I went back to school and I got a 9 to 5. And then I remember on Twitter, Nkiru Njoku put out this tweet saying she was looking for writers. And I had written a script on my own, but I hadn't written a script anywhere, publicly. So I sent her a sample because she asked for samples. And I sent her a sample. And I remember getting the email saying, oh, come to a writer's room. I was so excited because I had a 9 to 5, but I really, really wanted to write. So I went to that writer's room. And from there, loved it, loved the project, and just kept going from project to project. Quit my job and kept going from project to project.
What about you guys?
For me, it was 2 parts. Was the just writing for fun in school, where you'd watch telenovelas and you start writing your own versions in notebooks and selling to your classmates.
Fan fiction.
Yes. I literally started writing fan fiction and I used to sell to my classmates during lunch break, but then I moved on. There was when I was just about to leave uni, I started interning with Victor Agawa on Hush. Then I met Fifi and I saw them in rooms talking about ideas. And at first it didn't click that this was a job, but this was something that they were doing. And I was like, oh, this is very interesting. So this is me confessing, I used to steal scripts and read because I'd never seen a script before. I was like, oh, okay. So I'll go home and literally copy and paste. Then I'll send it to Fifi. I started harassing the writers. I was like, please just give me notes. Then one day, the more I kept doing it, I had a script and I sent it to Victor. And he was like, oh, okay, this looks like something that can work. Then he invited me to a writer's room, Eve 2018. And yeah, that's how it's. Oh. Yeah, I had no choice. There was no 9 to 5. I literally just threw myself in it. And I said, this must work.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Okay, so let's say mine is going to sound very cliche, but I think from day one I knew I wanted to be a screenwriter. And
From the day they gave birth to you.
No, obviously not. But
Actually, I feel that way.
I was obsessed with film and TV growing up, and I just knew I wanted to be behind the scenes, and I knew I wanted to write. And so it started with like short stories, very similar to Fatimah. I was also writing stuff in school and giving to my car. I wasn't industrious enough to sell it, but I was giving it to people to read and stuff, just giving it out. And the more my love for TV and film grew, I realized, okay, I think I want to actually write for film and TV. And obviously, I was not selling the stories like Fatima was, but I was giving it out to people, accepting feedback, and I would constantly just ask people their opinions. And they were mostly Western-based stories. They weren't like Nigerianized stories. But I think as I got older, I realized the importance of like writing about my environment and stuff. But my professional start was in 2017 when I got into like a competition called the Accelerate project, and I think it was to train people in all aspects of filmmaking. And yeah, so I got into that. I got to write and direct my own short film, and that was a very grueling experience, but it made me realize I wanted to be a screenwriter more than any other thing in film particularly. And yeah, since then that's what I've been doing.
So why I feel like I've always known that I was going to write, because when I was a kid, I would draw people, cut them out, and give them stories, give them names, give them storylines. Like I'll draw the husband, the wife, the children. Like I'll put them in the window and call that their house. Like I was basically making a film, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. And so some of the characters, I call them characters now, but then some of them will die and I'll bury them and all like that. And my mom would see cut out characters on the window everywhere, and she'd be like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but you'll figure it out. Like she never tried to stop me really, she was just encouraged me. So from there I started writing. I stopped doing that and I started writing the stories, and I would give, just like Fatima, I would give them to my classmates to read. Everybody read it somewhere. The book, the 80-leaf notebooks, they would just. So from there, I started watching more films. It sort of just evolved. Yeah, then I got into a competition to, I think it was Home Vida or something. Basically, I went there to go and eat the food, to be honest. Like, I went in the first year and the food was good. I was like, oh, next year I'll go back. So when so it was in second year, and I now met people that I collaborated with, like Michael and all the other people that I still work with now. But the first person to buy my script was, because I remember I had made a short film, but I wrote it, produced it and all that, but there was nothing I wrote that had been made for TV or anything. So I saw I think it was an Instagram post from Tope Alake that said, oh, send me, I'm looking for stories. So I sent him a DM. He asked for my for the synopsis. I sent it to him, and he called for a meeting. To be honest, I was going for that meeting with the intention of giving him the script for free. I just wanted something I had written to be made. So when I got there, I remember I was at ICM. So we were talking. Before I could say, he was like, "Oh, sorry, I don't have enough money." I was like, "Oh, you actually want to buy it?" In my mind, though, I did not say it out. And he offered a good amount, and I was like, that it was in that moment I realized that I'm never giving my script. Like I have to charge for everything I write, because prior to that I made everything myself. So, and he offered me money, and from there he just kept recommending me to people. After anybody that read the script, the actors on set, the producer, like it just sort of went on. Like everybody started calling me to write more. It was Iroko then, so I wrote a lot of that, and it sort of just evolved from there, really. So yeah.
For me, how I got into screenwriting, like many writers, I loved watching TV, movies, and all those things, westerns, but I never knew there was anything like I could really do. It's the actors we first see. We don't know that somebody actually write those lines that give them that thrill, that make them alive. So then I studied architecture. Then I had an assignment. I went to the library and I saw a book. that I was like, what's this book doing here? Elements of Screenwriting. And I read it and it just came alive because it just taught me all the things I've been watching over the years. Oh, this is a character, this is a plot point, this is a climax, this is a resolution. So I was like, I know this stuff. And, but I did still think, okay, this was a career, until Mnet was having a competition, New Directions, and I entered for it. And that's how the ball kind of got rolling for me in writing. Yeah. And the sweetest moment, I'm sure everybody has their own sweet moment, where you feel like, yes, this is why I do this is why I love writing. That moment when you see your work up on screen. Yeah, I think for all of us, that moment, or when you see your name, your name and your work on screen, and then when you hear feedback from people, especially if they don't know it's you and you're in the cinema, and you're like, I wrote that line, you know. So that was I think that's the strongest validation, of choosing that career.
I think it was, I think the odd 16, 17 years ago, we had done the pitch. Mm-hmm. So we'd done that whole Mnet pitch, and of course there were some pitches there that thoroughly intimidated us. Like, there was no way here where these pitches were better and everything. So I was sort of like in a low moment because I was full of expectations, but I thought all these other pitches had a lot of had an advantage, and then I remember that one to the Ikeja thing and all that. So anyway, so there I was. I was just hanging out with the friends and everything, and I get a call from Mannie Oiseomaye, and I said, hello. I just started screaming, we got it. Oh, what are you talking about? I said, Tinsel, we got it. I was like, you got it? Mm-hmm. I said, yes.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's my moment.
Can't top that. I think for me it was in the beginning because I had gone from being a fan. Mm-hmm. So it's that thing when you're watching these shows every evening with your mom, like you're used to it, that's your routine, you're used to watching these shows, you see these names, and it's not the first time I saw my name. And I think I saw like a veteran actor say the lines I wrote, and I was like, oh my God, this person I grew up watching is saying exactly what I wrote, and it felt so sweet. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I'm on the right path. I had begged my mom. I was like, give me a year. Let me feel. You can now do whatever you want me to do. Nice. Just then when that happened, I just looked at her, I was like, you're enjoying it. We might as well just continue. But yeah, that was it for me.
Okay. Like, I don't know, like, it happened. I feel like it's a continuous thing. Like, it's not just one. I mean, like, the first time I saw something I had written being made, then people's reaction to when something really lands, like when the plot twist or something gets people, like there are so many. Then Brotherhood was a good one. Now Red Circle, like it's, and I because every time I feel like every time I see something, it is like it's like growth. I see growth, so it's a new feeling every time. So it's not just one thing for me. Like it's a series, a couple of highs, really.
I think I've had so many along the path of my career, but one of the biggest ones that stands out for me was the Rihanna finale. For the Rihanna finale, the fans got a cinema hall to watch the finale, and we sat down and watched it with them, and we could feel their reactions in real time. Like they were screaming when we wanted them to scream, they were jumping when we wanted them to jump, and it was not just that cinema hall. People now started sending me videos of people in their houses. I still have a video
reaction videos.
I still have a video of two girls who were screaming in front. They were like, "Mommy, they are alive!" And I still have that video on my phone, and I'm like, I wrote this to get this reaction out of people for a world that was created out of nothing, right? It's a heady feeling. It's addictive.
Yeah,
you want to feel it again and again, but that feeling, I can't top it. But that feeling
prayer.
was precious. It was
Sure,
so
it
precious.
felt like an orchestra, you know.
Yes, like we reached
You're
this
a
crescendo,
conductor, you're
right?
manipulating people's feelings.
Yes, it
and
was
everything.
amazing. It was too
Nice.
amazing.
Fantastic.
Another high I forgot was writing Skinny Girl with Fifi, actually.
Oh,
Because they always wanted to work with Fifi. So it was like all the late night calls and trying to plot everything. It was
a good time.
It was a good time. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, so I have two. The first one was for sure when I finished my first screenplay ever. I think a part of me was like, I can actually do this. Like, I can write something, a film from beginning to end. I think I sent it to everybody I knew. Like, okay, see what I can do. And it was about 90 pages plus, like the usual. But then the greatest part was, I think it was 5 to 6 years later, I was able to sell that screenplay to somebody to actually produce. And I was like, everybody else was like, oh, this is just another film you wrote. But in my head, I was like, this is my first screenplay. And somehow, and they didn't edit it though. It was exactly what I wrote when I was like 19, 20, and they produced it. And it got like seriously good reviews.
What was the name?
It's called Hope Springs Eternal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was so happy. I think that was like the height of the sweet moment for me.
Let me just add one. There was one particular one, and that was because I wasn't sure, because it was a comedy.
Sorry.
And the fear with comedy is it may be funny to you when you're writing it, and then everybody's just looking at it like, you know. But I went to watch it. This was phone swap, and there was a guy beside me, and he got it, and I just felt so fulfilled. You know, he laughed. The fact that he laughed, I was like, thank God. So that was that's still part of going and seeing your work out there and getting the feedback from the people. And to add to what you said, when you finish a screenplay, when people come and say, "Oh, I finished the screenplay," I first say congratulations.
Yeah.
Many have started and never finished. So you finished, you reached ground zero. Applause.
Yeah.
Before you start looking at what you've written, it's like, well done.
so I think an experience that writers are familiar with. Unfortunately, we had worked on a story and we were so excited about the story. We were so excited about our direction. We had written all the scripts. It was a television series, so we had written all the scripts. And I think we were about to shoot.
Yeah.
And then they called for a meeting to say, the character will not do this. Or the character, there was one note that was very, very upsetting. This character cannot have a happy ending because she's a supporting character. And the person said it as if it was a rule.
Yes.
A general rule. And I had to speak up in the meeting, like, where did you get that rule from? How does a supporting character not have a happy ending? And it was quite upsetting. They ended up changing so much of what we had originally done that I had to swallow my pride, because I initially wanted my name off the project. But the producer now called and had a conversation trying to understand these characters are precious in some way, some manner, and these things just have to be done. You just have to let go. And I let go with a lot of pain, because I knew what the direction we're going to was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
And Abdul can testify. It was fantastic,
That was
but we ended up being a muted version of it, very, very muted show. But we just had to let go because it's not our original IP.
That question makes me realize I divide original IP and if it's not my story, if you like butcher, it's your business. Because I don't know if it's detachment. It gets to a point where it's like, it's not my story, so I can't really, there's really little I can do. I can't come to your set and say, why did you change it? It's very painful, but I always just console myself with, okay, it's not my story, so that's fine. And I think the TV background was very helpful, because they will call us and tell us that, oh, this big scene that you guys wrote, we can't shoot it like that though. We're going to adjust things. At least they call you, they give you like the courtesy of respect and everything, but there are some people that just let you know, oh, you submitted your script, you're a writer for hire, bye. You go and watch something.
Your script was just a suggestion.
And for me, the most recent one that happened was, it's not my idea. I was head writer and I watched like the finale. I had written a finale that I was like, okay, this is quite okay. And I watch it and I'm like, okay, I don't know who wrote that. Like, I feel maybe somebody on set was like, let's just, and they changed it, and I was like, okay, that's so nice. So I like screenshot this thing, because whenever they ask them, I just send it to them. The fans be like, oh, what happened? Like, just read my script. Like, I'm not explaining myself, because I don't know how to explain it. They didn't ask me. They didn't call me. They didn't even say as a suggestion. They didn't say anything. I just watched it with the audience. I was like, oh, cool. You guys were feeling creative, and you ruined something that was good. But yeah.
I think, like you, I have to learn how to take it less personally nowadays, because I remember taking a friend to the cinema for something that I wrote that was premiering that day on a Friday, and I was like, oh my god, you need to watch this. Yeah, I wrote it, blah, blah, blah. And I just sat there in silence the entire time. The guy was like, are you okay? Everything fine? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I think I left this, after watching it, I left and removed everything about the film from my
I do that a lot. You just see archive, remove, delete tweets, move on.
There was a time I would tell writers, let it go, but I realized it's not easy.
It's not easy.
You cannot say we created something from our hours of blood, sweat, and creativity, and then not take it personally when somebody meddles with it. Like, there was a situation. He brought up that you know, we're not going to name names to protect
The parties involved.
the innocent and the guilty. But a script that I wrote was, it was meddled with, and this was very early in my career. And what pained me most was I had written multiple drafts, not necessarily because I believed in the notes I was getting, but because I wanted to, okay, this is collaborative.
Yeah.
So if so-and-so feels it needs to adjust this way, adjust that way. So I felt I had bent over backwards. And then only to get on set and find, I mean, who wrote this? In fact,
me.
I wanted to scream and kick in and scream.
No. It was pathetic.
Wow.
The whole thing had been written and it had become like, and it was so macho, so
Yes,
funny
and I
everything.
found out that the person on set was one of the crew, and I was
Was
saying
he writing your script?
yes. Apparently,
What?
it was a competition, and
That's it.
and he was also a friend of the director.
Okay.
And I remember screaming and saying, "Who wrote this?" Expletive, you know. And I didn't know it was him at the time. But, no, that was I thought, what I felt at that moment was, you are not good enough. And it felt like, oh, you're not good enough. And I felt, but I tried. He said, change this, I change that. And then you see something totally different. There's no way you can't take it personal.
Yeah.
You know, because it makes you question your whole, why am I here? I mean, I studied architecture. Then why am I wasting my time here? If anybody can just do that with you know. So of course you can't help but take it personal. So I understand. You just need to know how to, when you know how, teach me.
Yeah, I feel like writers have crash outs a lot.
Yeah.
Especially with our friends. You just call your friend and just rant. And that's the
Abdul
worst
has
you
been
can
in
do.
so many calls, like a group call. That was the day I went to the set that I saw like the script that my name was removed from. And I read the script and I was like, so what's the difference?
Oh, that was a whole entire.
So we had like a whole group call. When they were
was a
calling me,
therapy session.
but they're literally trying to get me to calm down. I was like, if I start crying on the streets of Ikoyi, they wonder what's happening.
They removed your name.
Yeah, but like I opened the script and it's still 60. Like my element is still there. So I'm like, why did you remove my name? Like you didn't.
When
Even,
you could have shared,
Yeah.
even if you change stuff.
Because the way Fatima writes, when you hear characters talk, you will know, like you can tell
That she wrote it.
that she wrote it, and you could tell that.
That was still
Yeah.
there. Wow.
Do you remember this? We were watching a film and the writer was sitting with us, and for every scene he would say, "What I originally wrote was."
you know, and that's the thing. Once it's out there, you can't defend. You can't say.
You can't
I
say
mean,
that.
trying to
Yeah.
explain the audience to say, oh, you're just being sensitive.
Yeah, exactly.
They ruined my
Actually,
work.
on Twitter when you're saying, "Oh, there are no good writers,"
It's very
I'm
painful.
just like, I don't blame you.
I can't start
You don't
explaining.
know.
How
I
many
can't
things
start
you want to
explaining.
explain to people?
So it's
So the question is now like, how do you like protect your intellectual property or whatever from?
like every other thing in Nigeria. It is hard.
Oh, wait, Yinka seems to.
No. I'm just go on. I'm just,
Are you okay? I feel
no. The reason I did that was it's complicated.
Yeah,
Because
it's tricky.
so where do we draw the line? The producer has some rights. The director has some rights. Are you going to deny them those rights?
Are you talking about interpreting
Their
interpreting the work
interpretation of the
or
work,
stealing? I mean, outright.
removing somebody's name.
Oh no, that's criminal.
Yeah.
I thought maybe like hacking the
If
script,
they change the story on
changing
set.
a lot of things and everything. That's a bit complicated. I mean, when you talk about protecting your intellectual property from what context? Is it against undue interference or in our situation, not getting your due credit and payments and all that? What's the context?
I think we're talking more of like in the sense of not recognizing the project when you see the finished product. Like
Yeah, so that's what I thought, and then it's a bit complicated because there's a school of thought that believes that the script is like a baby. You birth the baby, you hand over to the director who nurtures it, and then who passes it on probably to the editor. So I mean,
that's true.
so what kind of?
But I have a question.
Except
the
I'm
thing
getting
is,
it wrong.
I think, well, the way I interpreted his question was when somebody takes something you've written and doesn't give you credit, and like you submit a script, and before you know it, somebody has made it into a film, or you submit a sample, and that concept, somebody takes it and makes a film out of it, and totally excluding you for the.
But that's
from the whole
criminal.
process.
That's criminal.
The whole
That's
process.
different. It's criminal.
No, I was just ask if contracts help.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. So
almost
that's
as
what I was
if
going to say that.
in this industry there's some sort of dismissive, because if your contract stands and there are certain clauses in your contract, I feel like producers should think twice before they try to meddle in some ways, especially if those clauses are in your contract. For example, if in my contract I have stated that to share credit, even if you give this to another writer, the writer has to have written, if this is an original idea, up to 50% of the idea, to add them as to share credit, not as additional writing. I feel like my contract should protect me from something like that.
Funny thing is,
Yeah,
you
if-
can
yeah.
have a contract, that still says, like the credits section that says credited as co-writer. But it's not the producer saying, and this is the tricky part, where if it's not your IP, you don't know how to you don't know where your fight,
Navigate it.
you don't know where your fight ends and where it stops. But if they tell you you're going to credit you as co-writer, and they read the first draft and it's not nice, and that's it. No conversation, no, let's have a meeting to discuss what works, what doesn't work, no feedback, no structure. And the next thing you hear, this project, you no longer exist. How do you tell someone whose story, they feel it's the original story and they feel you butchered their original story, but even though your work is still on the script, how do you fight?
Do you fight?
Should you fight?
I feel you should. The fight, this is where it becomes a very contextual thing. Because was there a conversation before you were removed? Or you just woke up and said, okay, they wiped out my...
ghosted you.
Exactly. Which is very common. Ghosting is very common. They can't communicate, so they ghost. But if there's communication, I don't think there's any reason to fight if they address it okay, we're moving forward.
For me personally, if it's not my original story, and
It's easier to let it go.
it's easier to let it go.
Even if
But
you
also,
wrote the script? Even if you wrote the script?
yeah, I've done there's that project.
Ooh, that project.
I think I did the first draft, and it was there was that conversation, and I just let it go. But also, like, I feel like we are privileged now. We can afford, because it's very rare for there's no project that will make or break your CV at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what does it, except it's like some Hollywood project or something that you. So we are speaking from a
Privileged position.
privileged position, but for someone who is just starting,
Yeah.
and that happens, I can see how it would be very.
So how
But
do you
for
tell
someone
someone?
who's just starting, I think I will also advise them to learn how to let it go, because there's a lot of emotional, like, as writers, we know that we pour ourselves into our work, and there's a lot of emotional attachment, but it takes a lot of, it drains you to try to fight these battles. Sometimes you're spending so much time crashing out and throwing a tantrum that you don't have enough energy left to create something new. As a writer, I feel like if you always know at the back of your mind that you can create something new, this project that they are playing with your emotions on is not going to make or break you. There's always going to be another one.
Yeah.
As far as the structures are not there right now, and they aren't, for us to fight these battles, we're still building them. I feel for even new writers, you need to learn to let go, so that a new one can enter your hand.
So
Remember when I said it's not easy, though?
Yeah,
But
because
it's
my
not,
little disagreement with letting go is, I think you also, it's not black and white. You also need to know when to also fight
Fight
back.
back,
Because this was a telenovela, not telenovela, but a TV show where a producer went back on their contract, and luckily one of my writers is a lawyer. So we actually had a meeting, because we're like, we had a contract, we said you're going to pay us this amount, pay the writing team this amount, and you went back on it and you just said forget the contract. You literally said word for word, forget the contract, and the writer's already feeling so down. Everybody has been writing, you just want to go back on your word. So we had to fight, but without, of course, I don't know if we burnt the bridge, but it was a thing of, we had to show that you can't just,
Treat us anyhow.
yes. So I think
Well,
it's
in
a very
that case,
delicate.
like,
Yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah, you have something to fight back. You have a contract. I think that's something every writer should have first.
Find a lawyer.
At least have some.
Yes.
Letting it go should be your choice, not because your hands are tied. You don't
Because
have
you are
any-
weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So always have a contract so that you have something to fight back with if you decide to.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very, very important to read contracts. I had an experience recently where I found so many bombs in the contract. One, they wanted me to supply 4 printed copies of the script when I was done writing
Yeah,
it.
I've
It
come
was
across some
somewhere in the
things.
contract.
I've never seen
I will print it and come and drop it for you. There was so many things. There was so many, like, so you see a paragraph, but somewhere in that paragraph there's just this line that you're like, why, this is ridiculous. But I think a lot of people don't think that writers will sit down and read their contracts. I know we want to give our contracts to lawyers as well, but try to read, try to just open it and
read
read,
it yourself,
and you will
yeah.
see things that you would make you uncomfortable. I think there was a space we're doing recently where someone said that she sent out contracts to writers, and they sent it
didn't
back
but-
to her in
yeah,
that same day,
writers.
and it was obvious to her that they didn't read it because she had put things in there that she thought they would fight back on.
and they didn't.
But they were so happy to, and I get it, and that's where privilege comes in. Sometimes writers are so happy to get jobs that you don't think about the different ways you can protect yourself. And then when it now blows up, you're now running helter-skelter looking for help. So if you can do that work before the time comes, you help yourself.
Yeah. Writers looking for validation. And that brings me to the story of this lady that wrote a few pages and sent it, and they decided to do a whole movie from it. And I remember she told me that what upset her was if they had come back to us, back to her. She was willing to help. She wanted to write a good story, put good work out there.
They said it was good enough.
And I actually had to.
improv.
No.
How many pages?
No, I think it was maybe 20 or 10
So they
pages.
shot with 20 pages.
How do you make a film out of 20 pages?
From the gems she
From-
gave. They were
you
able
know
to
that
build it
By
up.
that point, you already have the exciting incidents and all that, so
Yeah.
you can sort of predict.
Picture.
But she said it was rubbish at the end of the day.
Of course.
It was- And then people will now say, you see what writers are doing?
Yes.
And sometimes they don't know the genesis of how these stories even end up on the screen. Like a lot of people always criticize writers they'll say all our stories are predictable, that they can see it coming, you know. And yeah, you have some producers say, oh, if you make it too complex, audiences will not understand.
That thing annoys me.
Yes, and then they fall, many producers, they fall into the same stereotypes and cliches because they feel this is what will sell.
Yeah.
This is what people are hungry for. Like, I think there was a time when everybody was doing, I don't know, sometimes you have moments in which this type of movie or genre
There was
is
comedy, then there was
comedy,
action, then there was
weddings.
Now it's Owambe.
And epics.
And
Slums.
There was the era of slums.
There was the era of slums.
I'm glad that kind of very fast.
you know, and the thing is, but I've noticed that even there are echoes of that in Hollywood too. Sometimes science fiction is what's
Yes,
reigning.
That's the
yes,
thing.
yes.
I think the audience don't realize it's the same everywhere. I think maybe, I don't know if it's finish that affected us, that we just think we're like, even with the whole thing of this is for actors to discuss, like the typecasting situation, I'm like, this is everywhere. Everybody has their season. There's season for the romantic comedies, there's season for the action films, there's season for even the biopics, the Oscar baits and all of that. And there's an
But another critique is the predictability of it. Like, stories are not interesting because we already know how it's going to end.
I feel like
there are not enough twists.
I don't think knowing how it will end is the problem. It's not the
Destination.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
Because your typical rom-com, you know that they're
going to be
get
together.
I mean, Titanic told us how it ended before the film started, but we still watched it.
And we were hoping somehow.
Exactly, we literally knew how it ended, but we still watched 2 hours. I mean, how many hours of that film?
But then I also go on maybe YouTube and I watch some movies and I'm in the comment section and I'm seeing people saying, "Oh my God, this is so good," and I'm like, "What the hell did you watch?" So when you are praising, why would the producer do anything better for you? Because you are validating the nonsense you are saying. So like,
But is it nonsense to them?
that is it.
true.
That is the thing. So when you now people like that, when they watch something like that and they enjoyed it, when you now come with your deep story and your
they say nobody
the
will
arc of the
understand
character, they are like, why are you doing too much?
That's
What's your
why
own?
What's your own?
Why
People
are you
want
making?
simple.
Yes, Nigeria has already had enough. Why are you making me think too much? Like stuff like that. Of course, the industry we have our own issues too, but the audience, they are part of the problem.
So who is the audience? Is it the masses? Are the masses the ones demanding more complex characters, or is it?
No,
Or is
when
it
you really
just
think about it, it's a very small percentage of people who care about Nollywood stories being predictable. And so the general Nigerian audience,
How
maybe
okay with it.
I feel like they love
they love
because the things that they hype and the kind of stories that have they praise and they love are the stories that are typically predictable. The stories that are very much just comedy. Don't have to. I know people who are like in the corporate space and in the very intelligent people say, I don't want to think when I'm watching Nigerian films. I just want to watch something that would entertain me. I don't want to start.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem, but that is what happens.
They watch like foreign films and they allow themselves think.
Exactly.
They allow themselves watch the complicated K-drama. They allow themselves watch the deep French film. But when it comes to us, I don't know. It's like, oh, I'm already used to the lack of thinking. Let's just keep it
I also
that
feel
way.
like in all the film industries, there are tiers, right? So there are B movies for Hollywood, that you watch them and you're like, what are these people doing?
Yeah.
But
to be.
almost like we are not allowed to have those.
we're not allowed to be average.
We're not allowed to be
Yes.
average. You must always be excellent.
Yeah.
There are some excellent Nigerian films, but a lot of the focus is on the ones that are not excellent. It's almost as if we watch films to criticize them, not to have fun.
Yeah.
And films are supposed to be entertaining. They're supposed to be. So I feel like there's no acknowledgement of the fact that there are different tiers of filmmaking in Nigeria.
Exactly.
If you go to YouTube, you're expecting to watch a particular kind of film. If you go to television, you're expecting to watch a particular kind of they call them TV movies for a reason. If you go to the cinema, you're expecting to have a cinematic experience. But because we don't recognize this as the audience in Nigeria, every film is bad.
We lump it under the same
Yeah,
umbrella.
Game of Thrones is allowed to have a Starbucks cup in their this thing, and everybody laughs about it. Let a Nigerian make that mistake. It's almost like we're held to a different standard
Yes, we are.
than everybody else, and it's still finish.
My question is like, okay, with cinema films now, because the critic is now also coming to cinema films where you have that kind of thing of, why did they waste our time to come on? Why am I paying 10K to come and watch this nonsense? Because you see Nigerians hyping Sinners. Everybody's packing their load to go and watch it in cinema, but that energy is not translating to.
In Nigerian film.
We literally have to be dancing to market Nigeria. Like you literally have to enter the street to market in Nigerian film in the cinema. People don't have that. That's what's the word? I won't say ginger. That need to leave the house, and I won't lie, I'm part of it. Because I'm like, what film will make me carry my bag and say, oh, I'm going to go and watch 5 Nollywood films in the cinema?
I feel like we accept the criticism of the fact that some of our films are not cinematic. Some of our Nigerian films are not. So, cinema is an event.
It's an
right?
experience.
It's an experience. If I go to, for example, Sinners watched at IMAX is a different experience from when you watch it on a normal screen, because there's sound. I mean, there's the sound experience. There's visual experience. There's stuff that looks like art. I feel like some of our films, and this is me joining the audience in it, I feel like some of our films have not lived up to the standard cinematic experience.
Yeah. They're more like home.
Home
I won't say they're notchable.
They're just
home.
yes, the
Yes,
quality
but they're
is
not cinematic.
they're not
where
cinematic.
everything is living room to living room.
We don't have big
funding,
moments.
we don't have money to.
Yeah.
We-
I was going to say that as well, because like that's where the producers come in, because they have, just because people like it on YouTube doesn't mean that you should carry it
To the big screen.
and
To the
carry
big
it.
screen, yeah.
It doesn't
So that-
translate well.
So like that's why I said everybody has their own faults. Like the audience for praising stuff,
Mediocre films.
mediocre films, and the producers and the film industry as well for trying. I think it's like a money making. It's like a money thing.
Yes.
Yeah. They just because people liked it on, so let me carry that. So you have to decide what works for what, and just
And also who your audience is.
exactly.
Because as Mannie said, those criticizing, you'll be shocked that most of the people are okay with the type of films that they see. And they don't want anything too complex, or, they just want what they deem is what they're used to,
Yeah. So
But at the same time, producers also, they play into that. And, their end is always the financial aspect of it. I want to create a product, it must sell. What is selling? Is it comedy? Is it this? Is it the mother-in-law type of story? Let's do that. Why change the formula if it's working?
That's why some people cast actors before they come and ask the writer to write. They already know that this person is going to be in it, but you don't have the story yet.
Yeah,
You already
but-
know who the actor
I
is.
think of this person when you're writing it.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
you're
I tell
writing, when you write a screenplay, do you think of the actor?
not really, but I sometimes.
Now I do.
Now you do.
Yeah, because it's become a thing where they keep telling you, think of this actor. So, of course, doesn't mean the actor has to play the role. You just, this will be interesting to see this person here. But
For television, I think because they've cast people, so sometimes when you're writing, because you already know who is acting, sometimes
Yeah.
you play into what you've already seen the person do,
Yeah.
and you can build on that.
You mean their capabilities? Yeah, that happens.
Now, when they tell you, like you mentioned, think so person, it helps because you can channel when you're writing. You can channel. And even if it doesn't turn out to be that person, you're still written with a distinct voice.
Yes, for the character.
Okay, yeah, that helps. For me personally, I try to be as, because I don't often, writers don't always have control of who is cast.
Yeah.
So you just write the character, not the actor. That's what I do.
Guys, I'm sorry, I need to say something.
Please.
So there's a period, Kemi and I, we almost lost our marbles. So we had written, it was Doctor's Quarters. There was a character that was supposed to be this hunk.
Okay.
And girls,
No, for those of you who don't know, Doctor's Quarters was like our African Grey's Anatomy.
yeah.
It was. We had Doctor we had it before they did. But
And there was this character
Like
was
Steamy.
supposed to be like a lady killer, that girls see and soon and everything. And so we wrote along the line, then they did the casting.
I
You
mean,
can't
Should we
mention
say
names.
I'm sorry.
And it
The
was-
innocent and the guilty must be protected.
and it just and so the stories looked funny because you see this regular guy coming to a place. All the girls are like,
You've had that crash out for
Yes.
like telenovelas.
Well, that happens a lot.
remember-
Yes, big moments. You're like, oh my god, which fine actor.
I remember reading the character Bible out in the writer's room for a particular character, and everybody in the I still have the video. Everybody in the writer's room was like, "Oh my God, he's so
Oh,
hot."
that plays
They
this
now
person.
cast the person.
Like,
Speak English. Yes. Like I was like, who will be attracted to this person? Why?
producers need to do better. So among all the things you've seen, do you have one or two or three or four that you wish you had written or you would have loved to be part of? Because I mean, for me, I would have loved to be part of King of Boys 2, because I have a very strong understanding of that world. And I feel I would have brought an authenticity to each, which I felt was a bit lacking. So you have those kind of moments and situations. But something you've watched, you've seen, and I wouldn't have minded being the one who did
Perhaps
this.
like
Yes,
television.
I like. Okay. No, sorry.
Television projects I wish I was there for. And this is because they were classic television projects. I wish I was there when Checkmate was being created, shot, when the story was being wrapped, when Amaka Igwe was working her magic. I wish I was there, just present to soak in the goodness. Then Lola Fani Kayode's Mirror in the Sun. Like, that story, if you play it now, people would still be enraptured by the storyline. And I feel those stories that last through time, I feel like sitting down in their presence and just
Being part of
like
it.
a vampire sucking their energy. I would have loved to be part of those two projects.
Okay.
For me, I said it before, but I'll say it again. State of emergency, because that was the first time I saw like a Nollywood action film, and it was sent to be in his oversized outfit, and JT Tom West is so evil and charming. And I remember watching it as a child. I was like, oh my god, they're doing this here. And I saw National Theatre. It was so cool. I wish I was a part of that. Then I'll say Super Story, Oh Father, Oh Daughter. Again, these
Sarah.
are, yes, because earliest memory of watching like Nigerian, I was like, oh wow, this is, everybody was rushing home to watch something, and it just felt like, wow, this is a moment. And these are all classics.
So it's more of nostalgia for you.
Yes, for me it's nostalgia and being like, I would have loved to be part of that crew. And just to even see how they were feeling, how they handled it. Because watching back, I'm like, how were they shooting these things? Like, they didn't have the resources that we have now. And for me, the third one will always be Shower There. That was my first Nigerian film I watched. So,
Okay, so it's nostalgia again.
yes,
So-
that thing.
I think mine would be more of I wish I was in the room when it was getting made or getting created, and that would be like the very first few seasons of Tinsel. I think when I started watching it, I was like, oh, we have something like this in Nollywood, because I think I was just like very fascinated by the world building and how many characters were on. There's something about TV shows and films where you can create as many characters as you want, and there's always somewhere they hang out, just that kind of thing. And I just loved Tinsel because of that. So Tinsel was one, and definitely there's one, I don't know if anybody knows it. It's called Fourth Republic. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was a really good. I wish I wrote that. So yeah, those two projects. Really.
For me, like figurine.
Actually, phones off for romper.
Also, it's okay. The rom-com. So it's
That was good.
yeah, really good. And for the first season of Giddy Up, in Danny shows basically because
First generation.
no, sorry, this is it. This is it.
That's
That was a
web
good one.
series,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
classic.
That's the Lola G.
Lola D, and those are like those are the, because when I wanted to start my career, like I sort of wanted to shape my career around, based on a couple of filmmakers. So I want to make something of this quality, something like I want to be this kind of filmmaker where the audience know who the person writing the project is. I did not want to be the filmmaker that nobody knows, and so I was like, oh, I want my career to be this,
Like Lola
like not necessarily Lola D. Like, okay, I want the quality to be like Lola D. I want to be known like Kunle Afolayan, and I want. So basically, I just picked a couple of filmmakers and sort of picked a couple of traits from them, and just that this is what I want to be. So the quality of my work, I wanted it to be like figurine. This is it. It's something like this, that kind. So that's what I did. So
I think everybody would have had filmmakers or writers they wanted to be like when they came into this industry. Two of mine are sitting on this table. Yinka Ogun and Kemi Adesoye. Are you looking for the second person? I had Yinka Ogun, Kemi Adesoye, I had Tunde Aládéṣe, I had Victor Sanchez Agawa, I had I think his name is I don't remember his surname, but they were and Nkiru Njoku.
Yeah.
They were the for me the elite writers that I wanted to. When I walked into this industry, I really wanted people to celebrate me like they
them.
celebrated them, because their work was outstanding.
for Afmak, that was you for a lot for us. Like, oh, I want to be causing trouble on Twitter, like the TV witch.
Victor and Tunde because of Tinsel, Jacob's Cross. And
Oh,
was
Jacob's
Tinsel.
Cross.
But was Tinsel was the I think Victor directed an episode of Tinsel. Was a very chaotic episode. I think was where Angela and Amaka and Sonam went to the beach house or something. It was just very chaotic, and I know it had my mom and my uncle like tension from Friday. Waiting for the Monday episode, and they repeated that same thing with Hotel Majestic, and I was like, okay, these names, they are like you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember Hotel Majestic in particular, where Hope died. This is not a spoiler. This thing is how many years old. Where Hope died, and I remember very well. I was up at night. I was like, they cannot kill this guy. I was stressed out. But yeah, those two names. It was nice, and it was so cool that my first year of writing, I worked with them. So I was like, I'm arrived.
You know, social media as well as, having series, because that's when people get to really help in bringing writers to the forefront, because before, people didn't, a one-off movie, nobody really hyped the writer, but then you keep seeing these names coming up. Listening to you guys, I suddenly realized that, wow, you said you had these names of writers. I don't know whether Yinka did. Like you had a pool of writers. You were like, these were the ones I aspired to. They were Nigerian.
Yeah.
Because we, it's like we were just muddling through it. We didn't know we would. Well,
Inspire
the next generation.
And Yinka created Tinsel, and I was just honored to be on his team, and I think the first episode, and
You wrote the first episode of Tinsel.
yeah,
Wow. First time.
yeah,
That's history.
001.
That's history.
That was the first.
So how do you feel knowing that Tinsel has sort of inspired it has sort of shaped African magic to the 360, is now 130s, like that sort of started the whole
But like television,
the television journey for.
it's a huge impact.
So how do
Launched
you,
many acting careers.
yes.
and writing careers as well.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
No, well, it's okay. Yeah, I'm proud. Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah. I find it interesting. I meet people and they say that, and I find out that a lot of people
My
actually.
mom watches Tinsel every weekday till today.
Are you
I'm not
serious?
joking. You cannot mess with her Tinsel time. Like, you can't.
I discovered that a lot of actors. So it's like this. It's like a rite of passage.
Yes.
Even for actors.
For a lot of people, writers, actors, even crew members,
Yeah.
and everything. And for me, I think that one of the most hilarious things that that I experience as having created Tinsel is that when people walk, when I'm introduced to people, I meet people and I say, my name is Yinka Ogun. And there's that look of, you mean you're not 6'4"? There's that look, they expect me to be taller and bigger or something. And, they can't help it.
Yeah.
It's in their eyes. You can see that's almost slight disappointment that you mean you're human. The rest of us.
Yeah.
It's always nice. Yeah, but I look back at it and I'm proud of it. And it was really nice starting it out with people that I'd worked with for long. I'd worked with Kemi before. I met Tunde when she was still trying to sing rock, be a rock artist.
We have hair.
Yeah, and Victor and I and all that. So it was nice. It was fun, especially South Africa.
Oh yeah, they actually took us to South Africa for, was it a month?
Yeah, it was about
A month training.
Wait,
We missed.
We have missed.
Wow.
Hey.
Well,
We
we
didn't
were,
meet that era at all.
we were understudying their soaps and their
Well, let me
daily-
just ask something before we go. I just want to ask everybody. I mean, you guys have, all of us on this table, we've come a long way in our careers. Is there anything you would do differently?
Wow. Okay, so wow. And it's not so that it doesn't sound like I'm being ungrateful. I understand that I'm very privileged. I've created a number of shows. I've created a lot of, sometimes when I think about it, and it's because of you guys that I knew that it was possible to sit down and create. But I would have produced more. I would have produced more.
Well, it's not too late.
It's but if it's
Yeah.
not too late and
I
we're trying that.
understand.
But I would have tried to produce my own material. Not that the people who my material ended up with didn't produce it, but there's something about ownership that I know now that I didn't know then, and it's such an urgent. There's such an urgency in me now to produce that. And I remember pitching once to the head of MultiChoice at the time, and when I left the room, someone I respect, a mentor, asked me, "What did you enter that room as? A producer or a writer?" I didn't know what it meant until years down the line. I entered that room as a writer, but I was pitching a show that I created. I could have walked into that room as a producer, but I didn't know. And if I know now if I knew then what I know now, I would have done that differently.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
Kemi, you got any?
Well, looking back now, I mean, I tell people the journey, peaks and valleys, and I think each one taught me a lesson. And I also agree with what she said that I could have produced more. I could have entered into other fields of part of filmmaking process. I know I did a short film here, and a short film there, but I didn't really consider myself outside screenwriting. I just focused on that. And I think it's fun to try everything. Be a writer, be a producer, be a director, and don't be limited. That is the one thing that if I could go back in time, I would be like, explore more and do not be afraid of falling flat on your face and just doing it. I think that's just it. Less fear. Fear.
What about you? Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
This side of the...
I think for me and this is not just me, I think it's a writer thing where you feel that you assume the work will speak for itself. So it's that thing of I wish I put myself out there earlier and not assuming, they'll look for me. You come and look for who wrote this or who did this. No, because you start, and it creates this unnecessary resentment where you see people who do half of what you have done, making, and it's like you can't take that from them. Like no, you can't go and collect their phone and say stop posting. You didn't do the work. It's a thing of okay, now what do you do as the person that claims to have done all the work? Put yourself out there. Many writers feel they need to be mysterious or be like, no, the work will not speak for itself. Sadly, you have to also marry the work and yourself. So yeah, I wish I put myself out there earlier.
Luckily for me, I don't think I'll do anything different because I had, maybe I was just lucky to plan the way, like I said earlier, like
You were intentional.
I was
about your
intentional
career.
about how, I remember when I started, someone, he's still my friend now, but he was calling me, oh, jack of all trades. Which one are you doing? Are you writing? Are you producing? Are you acting? Which one? But I wanted to do everything, and I did.
Yeah.
So now, now everybody's now saying, oh, you're Abdul of Nollywood. But you were making fun of me when I started. So, but yeah, I won't do anything differently. I was very intentional about my career, and it worked out. So.
I asked the question, so I'll run it up by saying, just like the two of you, I also wish I'd gotten, I wish I'd gotten into production much earlier. I'm doing that now. I wish I'd gotten into it much earlier instead of being stuck on this. I want to be a writer. And I also wish I'd utilized social media more. You know, it's really crazy. The other day, I was looking at Tunde Babalola's handle, Kenny Joseph's handle. Abysmal, we're all horrible.
Terrible at telling ourselves.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway.
But sorry, there's just this question. If the structure protecting writers was solid, would we feel the need or pressure
to want to be producers?
Or would we be happy
No,
and satisfied
I
as
actually
writers?
think I
What do you
would
think?
want more.
Yeah.
Right? Because right now I'm very, very into ownership of my own material. Somebody described me and said, you're the Shonda Rhimes of Nigeria. And I'm like, do you know that everything Shonda Rhimes has created, she owns? And do you know the deals she has walked away from? Do you know the deals she has made just because she has created TV shows? Please don't compare, but very soon. So even if the structure was there, I think I would still be interested in ownership of my material, so producing.
And I like directing, so actually I like doing things, figuring out if this works. It doesn't work. Okay, we'll go back to what works. But yeah, I think I'll still do.
Yeah, I think even the wonderful thing in doing, at least touching on everything, is it makes you more rounded screenwriter.
Yeah.
So when the director is talking, you understand.
Yeah.
When the producer is talking, you kind of get it.
You're very right. And you know, my production experience was what helped me in creating Tinsel, because I understood the process. So I will talk about directors and all that. So anyway, it was nice hanging out with you guys.
It was great.
Lovely.
It was so much fun.
Cheers to the magic makers and to the kings and queens of storytelling.
Cheers.
Screenwriting is magical. You get to play God. You create new worlds, you create characters. You sometimes kill people, sometimes you bring them back to life. My name is Yinka Ogun. I'm a screenwriter.
A dancer dances, a painter paints, a writer writes. Just write. My name is Kemi Adesoye. I am a screenwriter.
Choose the best reaction. Be proactive. My name is Abdul Tijani-Ahmed. I'm a screenwriter.
Give the best you have to the best you know. I'm Fatimah Binta Gimsay, and I'm a screenwriter.
The key to crafting memorable stories is creating memorable characters. I am Mannie Oiseomaye, and I'm a screenwriter.
Writers. Creating worlds and characters from nothing. We are creators. Leave for writers the honor reserved for gods. My name is Ifeanyi Chidi, and I'm a screenwriter.